The Democratic National Convention shifted gears Wednesday with a focus on immigration and border security. Speakers look to flip the script, if you will, on Trump and Republicans who criticized the Biden-Harris administration for their handling of the issue, and instead praised the administration's efforts, calling Kamala Harris tough as nails on the issue.
The border is broken, but this year, when Democrats and Republicans worked together to finally write new border laws, we were blocked. We all know who sabotaged us.
Trump killed that bill, and he did it because he knew that if we fixed the border, he'd lose his ability to divide us.
When Donald Trump comes down to Texas, stands next to officers in uniforms just like mine, he's not there to help us. Don't think that, not for a second. He is a self-serving man.
Well, CBS News immigration and politics reporter Camilo Montoya-Galvez is near the Mexico border, where Donald Trump is set to appear actually later on today. So, as you know, Camilo, the Trump campaign has been hammering Democrats on this immigration issue, partially because there's been poll after poll that suggests voters think that Democrats are not tough enough when it comes to immigration policy. The Democrats have been, for a long time, trying to sort of pin the criticism back on Republicans, saying that, you know, there was a bipartisan border bill. Donald Trump put the kibosh on that. The numbers have been going down in terms of border crossings, unlawful border crossings. But I don't know if Democrats are really getting that message across. Are they being successful?
Good morning, Anne-Marie. Well, Democrats are certainly trying to go on the political offensive on this issue that has long been seen as a major political challenge for the party, but also now for Vice President Harris, who is seeking the presidential campaign for the Democratic Party. And it is true, as you mentioned, that poll after poll has consistently shown that this is an area of concern among many voters, especially those who are Republican and independent. And it is important to note that many of the speakers that we saw at the DNC last night spoke about immigration by accusing former President Donald Trump, Anne-Marie, of playing political games on this area of policymaking by telling Republican lawmakers in Congress to reject that bipartisan deal on border security that you mentioned. That deal, Anne-Marie, we cannot underscore this enough, would have created significant restrictions on asylum and boosted the ranks of Border Patrol agents and immigration judges, proposals that Republican lawmakers and other immigration hawks have been supporting and proposing for decades, if not more than that. And so the argument on the Democratic side now, Anne-Marie, is that Republicans are simply interested in exploiting this issue for political gain and not actually compromising on serious policy solutions. The Democratic Party is also now, on a policy perspective, trying to embrace more tougher and draconian hardline policies at the border, shifting from the more progressive immigration stances that they had in 2020, trying to appeal again to the more centrist and moderate part of the country. And lastly, as you mentioned, Democrats can also now point to the fact that illegal crossings here along the border, Anne-Marie, have dropped dramatically in the past few months. In July, they actually reached the lowest level since September of 2020, nearly 4 years ago during the Trump administration. And they are attributing that drop mainly to President Biden's action to severely curtail access to the U.S. asylum system, as well as the rising temperatures and Mexico's efforts to stop migrants. So, again, Democrats are trying to flip the narrative on this issue, as you said, but only time will tell if that will prove to be an effective strategy.
You know, former President Donald Trump is going to continue his week-long tour of battleground states. As you know, today's in Arizona. He's going to travel to the border to highlight this very issue, immigration. What do we expect to be hearing from him today?
Well, as you know, Anne-Marie, immigration has been a pillar to former President Donald Trump's political career, and he is hoping that this issue will also catapult him back to the White House yet again. He is promising a radical shift in immigration policy if elected and if he returns to the White House, including the largest deportation operation in U.S. history, a move to end birthright citizenship for the children of unauthorized immigrants, ideological screenings for legal immigrants, and also an effort to militarize the border by deploying the National Guard here. And he's also promising to reinstate his hardline border policies, including that Remain in Mexico program. So he's promising this seismic shift in policy, and he's trying to convince voters that he is the person who can actually, for a long term, reduce illegal crossings here. And the polls do show that voters tend to trust Republicans and former President Trump more on immigration and border security issues than Vice President Harris and the Democrats. But again, what will be interesting to see is if former President Donald Trump, Anne-Marie, acknowledges the fact that illegal crossings are down significantly from previous highs and also are now down because former or current President Biden enacted a very similar asylum policy to what he had enacted back in 2018.
All right, Camilo, thank you very much.